Well, hello, welcome, and thank you everyone for joining the Autumn Water Cooler, where you get to meet the current candidates for the next Board of Directors for Autumn. My name is Laura Savatsky. I'm your current past chair of Autumn, and I will be leading hopefully a fun and informative brief question and answer period of our candidates. We have many of them with us today. We have a record number of applicants for board, which I'm super happy about. And just an instruction to the candidates. I've all given this instruction already, but here it is again. I'll be asking you each two very simple, hopefully fun questions, not too challenging. If you could please limit your responses to 30 seconds, no more than a minute. If one of the staff could put up in the share screen mode the election cycle dates. Elections are going to open November 1st. That's kind of our next step. So we're at October 19th right now. Electronic voting opens on the 1st, closes on the 18th. And then we get the fun job of notifying the candidates who won and who did not. And we announce those new board members on the 21st.
Sorry, I can't turn it on.
If you could please mute yourself if you are not speaking. Hemi, if you could please mute yourself.
Hi.
And then February, the new board is introduced at the annual meeting. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to launch in now with our first question, which goes to VJ. VJ,
Hi.
What is the best advice you have ever received?
To transform human necessities with innovation that can really go transnational. Excellent.
Do you have any hidden talents or hobbies?
To look at diversity and then see the necessities of diversity that we need to embrace.
Thank you so much. Stephanie Miller, you're up next. If you could have one song play every time you entered a room, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Should I go with the cliche "We Are the Champions" or something like that? Yeah, something uplifting and upbeat in general, I think would be a great way to enter a room any day.
Awesome. What skill would you most like to learn that you don't know already?
Patience is probably good. No, I think what skill I would really like to learn is, and this is advice I give all the companies in our incubator here, is to work on the business and not in the business. And I think a lot of people that are leading tech transfer offices, we can sometimes get bogged down in the day-to-day and forget to lead the overall organization and its goals. So it's something I tell my people all the time and strive to do myself.
Thank you. Jake.
Yeah.
What do you think would most impress your 15-year-old self?
I think the risks I've taken in my career, moving from, undergrad and going both biology and business to, taking kind of a route into a larger institution when I'd been part of like a smaller liberal arts institution. And then finding out about this tech transfer thing and then launching out as an entrepreneur afterwards. So I think just the risks and the journeys and the directions that I've taken.
And then your next question is, what is the last book you read?
Can I count the one I'm reading now? Because I think it's really cool and everyone should read it. Okay. So it's Nicholas Taleb, Black Swan author, wrote this book called Anti-Fragile, and I'm reading it right now. It's about systems that don't just stay resilient during hard times, but come back stronger. And so it's a great book.
I'm gonna have to put that on my reading list. Thank you. Michael Shade, if money were no issue, what would you do with your time? Oh, and I don't see Michael has joined us yet, sorry. So I'm going to skip on to the next person. Sadhna, what was your first paying job?
Oh, well, my first paying job was teaching microbiology in a culinary school. So I was teaching the students how, beer was actually made and how bread rises.
That sounds like a fun job.
Yes, it was. And I got to taste everything they cooked.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's a very useful talent. What is your most useless talent?
Well, I think it's useful. It's multitasking, but it can be counterproductive many times. So I think that I shoot myself in the foot many times for doing that. I think I'm really good at it. And then sometimes I'm not so good at it.
Okay. John Wilson, and I apologize to the audience here. I have a different screen up on my laptop. So if there are participants or people waving or saying anything, just realize I can't see you because I'm staring at an Excel sheet right now. John Wilson, you're next. Aside from necessities, what one thing could you not go a day without?
Coffee.
I knew you were going to say Starbucks. I just knew it.
I wasn't I'll take any coffee. I'm not prejudiced that way. As long as it has caffeine and it's hot, I'm happy.
Okay. And what was your first concert that you attended? What band was it or artist?
The Eagles, believe it or not. My parents were huge Eagles fans and I went very young. And actually, before I left California in the early 90s, I was able to see them again. Very different experience then, but that was the first concert I ever attended.
So now I'm jealous. Okay.
And I just aged myself, I'm sure.
That's okay. Has David Potter joined? Not yet. Okay. I'll come back. I'll circle back to David as well. Becky Hernandez, you're next. What is the most important decision you have ever made so far? Is Becky there?
You might be muted.
Sorry, I thought I had muted myself. In my professional career, it would have to be leaving the law firm I was with and coming to work for Caltech.
Okay.
That was a huge, huge jump for me.
And then would you rather be invisible or be able to read minds?
Well, I professionally, in my job, I read minds all the time, but I'd rather be invisible.
Okay. Okay. All right, next up is Amir. If you were a superhero, who would be your arch nemesis? Like who would be your anti-superhero?
Oh, that's a tough one. If you ask me which superhero I want to be, I would say Superman, but then an arch nemesis, I don't know, probably the Joker. Be a nice matchup.
Okay. And what's the best place you've ever traveled to?
I never traveled to. Want to go to New Zealand and Australia. Been in I think all other continents, so still have to go there.
Okay. All right. Has Tatiana joined us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Tatiana. Welcome.
Hello.
What is the biggest risk you ever took?
Biggest risk. Oh gosh. Besides marrying my husband. Staying at Rutgers when I did.
And why was that?
To advance some of the opportunities and development that we did over the years and really, it worked out amazingly.
Okay. Okay, and here's a really fun question. This one I really like. If you won the lottery, what would you do first?
Is that still a question for me?
Mm-hmm.
What would I do first? I would buy a bigger sailboat, maybe in a couple of different locations. I'm an aspiring sailor, and that's what I would do.
Okay. Denise, what is the one thing that instantaneously makes your day better? And everybody, we're so far ahead of schedule now that you can have longer answers if you want, and I will come around and ask again from the top. You'll have another chance to respond to some questions. So Denise, what is the one thing that instantly makes your day better?
I would say it's when I come into the office and I see the whole team. We have a very open concept office, and we spend a lot of time focusing on the team and the team dynamics, and our culture is very strong. And so walking in, especially after the COVID hiatus, to see a full office of people excited to do their work and enjoying with each other and talking and smiling, I love that. I love walking in and just seeing them.
Hey,
Awesome.
Laura.
Yeah.
So, this is Amy. I'm calling from a bus. So now and then you might not hear me. I'm on my way to New York. So if you have a question for me, if you could ask me now, that would be good. So in case I'm disconnected, then at least I would have answered the question.
All right.
Thanks.
You are next on the list after I finish with Denise. So
Okay,
Denise, name an item on your bucket list, or several items on your bucket list.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I think I'd like to travel more. That would definitely be important to me, to travel more internationally. I've not done as much of that as I'd like to. Another thing on my bucket list would be to live really close to my daughter and grandchildren. I'd like to spend a lot more time with them. We're close, but that would be another really great thing. I guess I would also say I wouldn't mind doing another startup. So I started a company off software in the past before being on this side of things. And I think that at some point, that would be actually really fun to do, having had the life experiences that I've had in this office.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Okay, Hemi, now it's your turn. Hemi, who is your hero?
My hero is Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. The way he handled the times of that time, the way he made friends with his rivals, the way he was able to initiate conversations between different people. And there was a cause that she was fighting for, and I think he very successfully did that in a time where everyone did not like each other. He managed to bring unity in some way. And I think what I like about his character is his demeanor and his gift of writing. And I think that was just wonderful. And by the way, my name is Amy. It's an H-A-M-Y. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, Amy. Okay. And if you could live anywhere, where would it be?
On the moon.
Okay. Why the moon?
Oh, I can just realize that, I'm in in a different environment. I could look at the earth now and then. And at the same time, I could call people on the earth. And if I wanted to, I could, maybe take a journey back. But it would make me realize what's important in life. You know what I'm saying? You're up in the air, you're looking down at earth and saying, gee, am I really that small of a person, this huge, vast universe? So I think that's why I would like to be in the moon.
Excellent.
Out.
Okay, next up. Oh, shoot, I lost my, hang on, I'm having technical difficulties.
Laura, David Potter is on the other side. There is he got through Q&A. So I just messaged Shannon. I don't know whether she saw the message.
He's in now.
Yep. And Laura, just Megan and Rodney were the next two.
Yep. My screen just disappeared. Hang on, guys. I'll be right there. Don't know why it won't open for me, but so David's about to join and we got through Tatiana.
Yeah. David is here, has joined.
Oh, David has joined. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will in 1 second go back to him. Don't know why my questions won't show.
I've got the questions if you need me to read them, Laura.
Yeah, can you read David his question just to keep us going here till I figure out how to open this on my screen?
I've actually got Megan on the screen, so we'll do Megan and then run back to David. So Megan, what is something you're proud of?
I know Laura said to keep this fun, but honestly, one of the things I'm most proud of is starting the Autumn EDI committee and leading a revolution, not just within Autumn, but globally, to invite more opportunity for diverse voices and innovation. I think on the more fun side, I am proud of the fact that we are able to keep our kitty cats alive more than 15 years as adults. That's the first time I've had a cat live that long, and that was when I started graduate school. So I think there's a really strong correlation between me leaving my parents' house and being able to keep my kitty cats alive.
Great. And then if you could erase one event from history, which one would you erase?
The time a butterfly flapped its wings in China. I don't think you can erase anything in history without knowing what the result would be. I've read a lot of alternative history books about things like going back in time and killing Hitler, or going back in time into Amy's point about making sure someone doesn't assassinate Abraham Lincoln. And I don't know that I would do anything like that because I don't think that I'm comfortable knowing the consequences that I would bring on the world by doing that.
Excellent point. Thank you. Okay, we'll bring up David now. Laura, do you want me to continue?
Yeah, continue. I don't know why my computer won't behave right now, but it certainly is not behaving.
All right, David, what are you most thankful for?
Oh, that's an easy one. For my terrific family, for my two just outstanding as individuals, my son and daughter, and my wife. Tremendously thankful. I'm humbled to having them in my life.
Excellent. And then would you rather only eat your favorite food for the rest of your life or never eat again?
or never eat again my favorite food, or never eat again at all?
I'd say interpret that either way. I obviously couldn't never eat again. So
well, from an overall nutritional needs standpoint, I'd probably go with eating. I could eat pasta every day if I had to. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, and I am back. I've got my computer to behave again. I got out a large stick. All right, so I've got Rodney up next. Rodney.
Hey, Laura.
What would your warning label say?
Hard-headed.
Okay.
I don't give
Expand on
that. My grandmother told me a long time ago that I was hard-headed. I don't give up easy. As a child, it caused me pain, but as an adult now, it has allowed me to do some really innovative and creative things because I didn't give up easy.
Okay, and then what is your most prized possession?
My most prized possession. Well, my children are possessions, but that's probably what I prize the most as a father. But besides children, I think it's I coach my children a lot. So we've in all kinds of sports. So all the championship trophies that my children and I have won by playing sports is probably a big deal to me.
Excellent, thank you. Jeffrey Depp. If you could learn any instrument, what would you play?
The piano.
Peter, do you play the piano?
I do not. I'd love to learn. I'd love to know how to do it. It's a beautiful instrument.
Okay. If you could switch lives with any one person, who would you choose?
That's a tough one. I guess I'd like to maybe go back in time, maybe to the revolutionary period or the founding period. One of our founding fathers, to be a part of that would be a tremendous opportunity, experience that I would love to have been a part of that.
I think I agree with you there. That would be kind of fun. All right. So next up, Danielle Dardini. Or sorry, I said it wrong again. You can correct me.
No worries, Laura.
Which historical figure would you most like to meet?
That's a good question. There are certainly many fascinating folks throughout history. I would probably have to choose between maybe Abraham Lincoln, which was said before, and maybe the historical Jesus. Lincoln, because obviously, really interesting intellectual, kind of shepherded the country through a very tumultuous time. Plus, he seemed like a pretty good guy. He could tell like a good joke, spin a good yarn. And then, of course, Jesus, just because of all of the sort of, fascinating questions that have cascaded through the centuries since he lived. What was he really like? What was his real message? That would be fascinating to find out.
Okay. Anna. Oh, sorry. I missed your second question. And my third question for you is, can you pronounce your name for everyone so we all know how to say your name? Really?
It's easy because my first name's Danny and my last name is Dardani. So it's just
Dardani. Okay.
Dardani.
Dardani.
It's an iterative function.
And what's your favorite quote, Daddy Dardani?
I guess I learned this in junior high school, long before the Spider-Man movies. But it's, to whom much is given, much is required. It's kind of a play on with great power comes great responsibility. And I think it's kind of the mission to give back, to pay it forward. And that if you're blessed with, a profession where you can sort of better society, an education where you can kind of figure things out, that you have a responsibility to kind of figure out how to welcome others into the fold and spread that message and help others sort of follow their path along the way as well. So.
Okay. Anna, you're up next. If you could make, sorry, Anna, you're up next. If you could make one rule for everyone in the world to follow, what would it be?
I actually would have no rules. I would actually just have a don't embarrass yourself. That's the rule that I have with my children. If you embarrass yourself, you're most likely embarrassing me. So I think there's too many rules. We need that ethical, moral compass. Then I think we just need to learn a little bit, learn from our mistakes, but yeah, no rules.
Okay. And then what's your go-to karaoke song?
It depends on what time of the day and if I've had a little tipple of a drink, but I really like the Eye of the Tiger. A bit of Survivor there. I think I'm showing some of my age as well, and that could be my entry song as well. I think the karaoke and entry song probably a hand in hand.
Okay. That sounds fun. Gayatri.
It's 3:30 in the morning, so I can't believe I just said that.
You are a stronger woman than I, 3:30 in the morning and jumping on an international call. Good for you. Gayatri, what do you dislike that everyone else seems to like? So what do you dislike that everyone else seems to like?
I don't know about everyone, but I am a people person. So if there is, activities. If I've already done an activity with people, I can keep going to other activities with people. I don't think it tires me out as it does tire some people out. So it's kind of interesting to me that how come they get tired by socializing.
Ah, introvert versus extrovert person, huh? Okay. And then what makes you feel most alive?
Dancing.
Oh, nice. All right. I think we've made it through everyone with the exception of, I still have on my list, Michael Shade. Has he joined?
He is not.
Okay. So I'm going to go back from the top of the list, candidates, and I'm going to ask you 2 more questions. I'm going to ask you to answer the question, why did you run for the Autumn Board? And the classic interview question, what are the top 3 things we should remember about you? So why did you run? And what are the top 3 things we should remember about you? And we're going to go in the same order as before. So VJ, you're up first. And Ami, if you could mute yourself, please. You keep popping up with some background noise.
Thank you, Laura. I see Autumn Board, driving strategy, the power to drive strategy, and given the global, necessities for innovation to flow through, I think this is one of the fascinating contributions I can make to make tech transfer globally, driving change, bringing inclusiveness, and creating a better world, not just in where we are in 200 miles around us, but far and wide.
Okay. And the top 3 things we should remember about you.
My global experience working in deep down in countries which are transforming today, my interest in academic as well as private sector, and my ability to lead some of the change.
Okay. Stephanie Miller, you're up next. The same 2 questions. Why did you run for board? And the top 3 things we should remember.
Yeah, well, why did I run for the board? Laura is one of the people that made that happen when I saw her at a recent autumn event. But I wanted to run for the board because although I volunteered for a few things here and there in the 10, 12 years I've been a part of Autumn, I think it's time to step up and take a larger role now that I'm kind of deep into my career and understand, I think, many of the facets of tech transfer. So I think I can now bring some valuable expertise to something as important to this organization as the board of directors. And then the 3 things to remember about me. 1, I work harder and smarter. 2, I have had, I guess I would say, the good fortune of being able to be a part of a lot of those scope creep things that, tech transfer, we always talk about research park, incubators, accelerators. But the 3rd thing is, of all the things that I've done, tech transfer is still very much my first love in my profession.
Thank you. Jake Johnson, you're next.
Great. Well, I've been a member of Autumn for 18 years, starting as a member within an institution, but largely the last 12 years or so have been spent outside of an institution at Innovasource. And in the work there, I've had a real opportunity to, work with multiple universities, multiple facets of kind of this expansion into different spaces in the innovation ecosystem. I particularly am interested in university proof of concept, startup, and venture fund programs. But in that, I've done a lot of work with corporations and investors, university tech transfer offices. So the excitement to me right now is why we have to stay true to the core of what Autumn is in terms of traditional tech transfer. I think there's a real opportunity to look at what Autumn could become and how it plays a role in some of those different areas of the innovation ecosystem. That's one. I think from a qualities perspective, it's always tough to talk about what you want people to remember about you. I'm a doer by trade. I like to try things, tinker with things. I'm a consensus builder. I work with a lot of different people in a lot of different spaces. and ultimately people come to the table with different ideas and different perspectives. So really understanding kind of what the central goal of everybody is and working for is a consensus builder and forward thinking, curious, always curious, and imaginative of what could happen. And I think that's really exciting for Autumn too, and my hope of being a participant on the board.
Okay, thank you. Sadhna, you're up next. Why did you run for board, and the 3 things we should remember about you?
Why did I run for board? Well, I was highly encouraged by what I was seeing in terms of what the current and past board members were contributing. And also, you know, I have Mark Saddam, who joined NYU last year, has been talking about all the things that are happening at the board level. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is that we have, you know, the way our responsibilities as tech transfer, technology commercialization folks have expanded and changed. So it's no longer just get an invention disclosure, write a marketing summary, send it out. No, it's much more involved than that. And we have to teach a new generation of professionals how to do it the right way. And I think, you know, we've tried to adopt a lot of those newer ways of doing things at NYU, and we'd like to bring that, you know, in sort of a new training concept to present to the Autumn board. How would I like people to, what are 3 things that I would like people to, you know me by? And I think the defining mantra for me is share, share, share. That's it. Share your mistakes, share your triumphs with each other, learn from each other. And, you know, nobody needs to make the mistake that I made. They should make their own mistakes or newer mistakes, but really, you know, and that is what Autumn has been all about all these years for me, is just working with my peers, sharing experiences, and I just want to continue to do that. So sharing is the mantra for me.
Okay, John Wilson.
Been a member of Autumn for 8 years, been lucky enough to been on the annual meeting planning board for 5. I'd like to do a little bit more. I do believe that there is a distinct place for industry and academic involvement, and I would like to see that Autumn continue to build that relationship. It's probably one of the highest attended and referenced meeting and requests and symposiums that we have at Autumn, and I would just like to see it being pushed a little bit more, as I have seen some drift to another organization that will remain nameless away from Autumn, and I'd like to make sure that the Autumn mission continues to develop and grow. 3 things about myself. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very altruistic. However, I'm also very inclusive to make sure everybody is included in the decision making. I have a very strong personality in regards to being direct, but I do not want anyone to ever think that their opinions are not valued or wanted when we're sitting at the table.
Okay, Becky Hernandez, you are next.
Why would I want to be on the board? I think that I can bring a unique perspective, being more on the cornerstone side of operations and administration. I started working with Autumn many years ago. I stood on the shoulders of giants like Larry Gilbert. I learned from the very best, old school and now new school with Fred, with innovation, a fund, and being flexible. So one of the things is I want to be the mentor, which I have been for over 20 years to the administrators, is to be the mentor that I never had. Unless we mentor others and help each other be successful, that's super important. You know, and then I have a lot of T's in my blood. You know, I have tech transfer in my blood type. So it's what I've done for almost 30 years. What I want you to remember, the other thing about why I want to join the board is I think we really, I'd like to be able, before I retire in however many years, to be able to affect a little bit of change with Bayh-Dole as far as the implementation and application, meaning actually doing the work and actually getting it done at the level of administration. And so that's a real challenge today. And I'd like to be able to maybe work with the policy committee or work with the feds and possibly be able to improve for the tech transfer as a whole, to be able to protect our IP, meet our regulations, and not have it be so difficult. And to what you remember about me is my work ethic, my resourcefulness. Let's see, and what else? And then I'm a pretty good mentor. That's about it.
Thank you. Okay, Amir, you're up next. Why and the three things?
So why, two answers for that. First one is, it's been too long since someone from the UC was at the AUTM board. So I think it's about time we introduce the UC system and then contribute to the community. The second is that I see a lot of pressures on our profession, from advocacy groups to foundations, that may render some of the things that we do almost useless. So I like to think AUTM can have a fundamental role in perhaps advocating, explaining the importance of what we do. And then three things to remember. I've done everything in this profession, from MTAs, NDAs, all the way to hundreds of millions of dollars worth of deals and consortia agreements. I bring international experience, as well as was the CEO of FIEDA from the Weizmann Institute of Science for 10 years. And I'm a strong advocate of work-life balance. It's so easy in our profession to be sucked into work, but I think we need to achieve that balance in order to be effective.
Thank you. Okay, our sailor is up next, Tatiana.
Yes, thank you. And frankly, I just want to start by saying that I'm not pleased with my previous answers, and my excuse is that I was squatting in a room where I was not supposed to be in. And right when you asked me the question, Laura, I was in the midst of being booted out. So I was, it was only a fraction of my brain that was there. So I apologize for that. Hopefully it didn't offend my husband. So why did I run for the board? In addition to all the amazing encouragement from some of the folks on this call, is really to be part of the team that helps effect change, and to be among the group of amazing colleagues and professionals that help drive that change on behalf of the organization and industry. As I've grown in my leadership role, I've seen sort of the different connections and intersections between what we do, what happens in industry, what happens at the government level, policies and all of that. And it would be amazing to be a part of that and a part of those conversations. The things to remember about me, in addition to the fact that I'm an aspiring sailor, is that I'm very collaborative and inclusive. I'm very much solution oriented. I usually don't take no for an answer. So always looking for a solution, a compromise, understanding of all of the constituents. And then the last bit is that as I was listening to a lot of the questions, the cultural references don't work for me. I grew up in a different country, and when somebody asks me about a superhero, I don't even know what superheroes exist. If you ask me about a karaoke song, I'm not sure I have an answer for that, or I'm going to remember the name of the song. So I'm glad I didn't get those questions. But in all seriousness, collaborative, solution-oriented would be the top. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise, you're up next.
Hi. So I think the reason that I ran is that I feel I bring a very unique background and some interesting experiences to the job within a tech dev or a tech transfer office. I had the opportunity to be an inventor and to create some technology. It was software that actually came out of Baylor College of Medicine in Houston. And I left the job I loved at that institution and went with the startup, and was there for 7 years and had the experience of being the client of the offices that we work in. And I think that's rare, and it's a good view to bring to the board. That there's probably other people who have that experience as well, but that's very unique. And then the second thing is that I actually started a department at the university. I'm at UT Southwestern Medical Center. That was a brand new department, and started the high performance computing infrastructure here. And we created a lot of innovation and piped it through this office. So I was a client of this specific office, and now I'm running this office. And so those three ways of interacting with our field to have had all of those experiences, which were all very transformative and wonderful and challenging. I think I could bring a little different view to the board that might not be there. And I'd love to serve in that way. The three things I think to remember about me, really just things that I try to live by, are one, to always assume good intent. And, you know, in our office, it's often there's conflict, there's friction, there's mediation needed, there's miscommunications, and to always approach by assuming good intent and come to discussions that way is one thing I always try to live by. The second thing would be to remember about me would be I try to live by others first. And I think that life is honestly just about service, and in the service of those that are put across your path. And that, you know, that's why we're here consuming oxygen. It's not for, you know, to create a life of leisure. I think it's to create a life of service to those around you, make the world a better place. And then I think the third thing would be, I really try to be a lifelong learner. I think that's very critical.
Thank you. Okay, Emmy, you're up next. Emmy Chopra. I wonder if you're still there. Are you still on the bus?
She's muted.
Mute.
Stephanie or Shannon, could one of you unmute?
Hey, Laura, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. So the questions are why run for the Autumn Board, and the three things we should remember about you.
Sure. I've been in the business of tech transfer for about 26 years. I've been at the, at the border or the margin between science and business for this much time. And I've learned a lot, I think, over the experience. And Autumn's done a lot for me. Tech transfer has done a lot for me. And now I feel I'm in a position that I can give back to the joining the board also means I can play a role in where Autumn goes next, how Autumn has, which it can build on. I like doing strategy, figuring out how things work and how things work to get to a specific solution or a place where one needs to be. So putting all that together, I think are the reasons why I'm running for the board. And also from a very selfish point of view, I feel I'll be able to learn a lot by working on the board. And just as the way I am contributing to the board is contributing to me. So it's a two-way street. And so I hope I can be on the board. I look forward to that if at all possible. The three things important about me are I have a great sense of humor. I'm very hardworking. My work ethic is very, very strong. And I like to work with people. I like diversity, having worked in about, I don't know how many institutions, state and private. I have worked with a variety of people and I have grown by that experience. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Megan, you're up next.
Great. Well, I think unlike a lot of the other perspectives here, I'm a little bit earlier in my career. I joined Autumn in 2018 and jumped in with both feet. I firmly believe that you have to be the change you want to see in the world. And so I've dedicated many hours, months, and years to Autumn so far, and I want to continue to do that. I think that we are at a pivot point for the community with the direction of NSF TIPS and with the new CHIPS and Science Act. And I think that Autumn has an opportunity to be a leader in advocacy within the United States and globally. I think that we have a point here with a board to really make changes that will affect not just our community of members, but those within all of the knowledge exchange and technology transfer fields. And I would love the chance to be part of all of that. for the global community and for the next generation. For things to remember about me, for those of you who don't know me yet, you will realize that I am incredibly passionate about making a difference. I think that we really should be, as mentioned earlier, giving an opportunity to make change, to serve others, that we should do that. I am dedicated to creating opportunities for everyone to have a voice and to be part of a community. I do believe that inclusive innovation is not just a buzzword, but something we should all be ascribing to in our lives and in our practicing. And I think that the third thing for me is that I want to not just bring my voice, but the voices of the community to the board. I think that we have opportunities to hear from people that have things to say that aren't necessarily 20 or 30 years in their career as well. So I think that it would be important to have that diverse voice on the board.
Thank you. Okay, Rodney, you're up next.
All right. I was encouraged to run for Autumn by a significant number of colleagues in Autumn, especially those who have what we call smaller offices, those who have very limited resources and personnel in their offices. And I've spent probably the better part of 7 or 8 years now running the small office committee and with Autumn, and the changing nature of how TTOs are what they're responsible for and what they have to do now really has driven a passion in me to be able to help mentor and guide offices, small and larger offices, to navigate the change that's coming to our profession. If there's 3 things about me that should be remembered, one is I'm pretty innovative and had the good fortune to actually start 2 TTOs at universities from the ground up, both of which are still successfully running. I'm running one now. And I've also had the opportunity to start from the ground up an engineering school. So I just started a school of engineering here at my current university. The second thing would probably be that I love helping others and getting things done. Actually, in our office, I have a motto here for our staff here in our office that basically says, we say yes until we absolutely have to say no. And it drives collaboration, it drives innovation, and it drives others to actually want to work with you because they know that that if you're saying no, it's for a good reason. I think the last thing about me, and probably the most unique thing, is I consider myself what I call trilingual. I've had an extensive background in business and small business. I've actually run a couple startups and had a lot of background in how businesses operate and grow, especially in the space of entrepreneurship. I've actually had an extensive background in academia, from being a distinguished professor, department chair, and now the dean of a school, as well as the vice president of research at a university. So I have a very strong background in understanding how academia operates and function and how TTOs work with that. And the last piece of that is also a strong background and understand very well technology, as an engineer background, and had the opportunity to participate in a number of inventions and have probably close to 30 patents, US patents under my belt. So very good with all 3 things, and look forward to actually using those skills to make Autumn move forward.
Thank you. Oh, Jeffrey Depp, why and the 3 things we should remember?
I wanted to run for the board because I am passionate about Autumn's mission from the perspective of its members, who are the sort of unsung heroes and heroines of technology commercialization. They're so important to the overall process. It could not be done without Autumn members, but they never get the credit. They never get the glitz, the glamour, the glory. And I think they deserve an advocate and an ambassador to make sure that people really understand and appreciate how important of a role that the Autumn members play. And then, just more broadly about our mission of technology commercialization, how important it is for our country and for the world. And again, it needs to be promoted. It needs a strong ambassador, and I want to fulfill that role to make sure that we always get the support and the resources and the recognition that we deserve. And again, I believe that Autumn has a tremendous voice, a tremendously important voice, particularly in policy matters. And that voice needs to be maximized. And I have been working in my work on the policy committee so far to try to make that happen. And I will continue as a board member to make sure that Autumn's important voice gets heard, because it really can have an impact in a favorable way, again, for our country, for our profession, and by extension for the world. I think, about me, I'm good in the crisis. I remain calm when plans go awry, as they often do. I thrive on being able to improvise and get the objective, get back on track to make sure that we accomplish the goal, whatever that might be. I make good decisions. I take my time to make sure I consider all the issues and get all the input, communicating with as many stakeholders as necessary to make sure that a sound decision is made, and then I stick to it. I don't waver absent compelling reason to do so. And I think that stability is helpful, particularly in a leadership position. And then, just to get into my general qualifications, I think that I have sort of a broad base of formal training and experience in all the areas, all the functional areas that you'd want in tech transfer, namely science and technology, business, law, intellectual property law specifically, and policy. And I can integrate all those 4 things together and would be able to apply them to advancing Autumn's mission as a member of the board.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I think I've got the pronunciation down now. Danny Dardani.
There you go. For over 20 years, I've served Autumn, 19 years with MIT, where I learned the business from Lita Nelson, past Autumn president. She's on Mount Rushmore of tech transfer. More recently, I've joined Duke, where I work with Robin Racer, who also Autumn past president. So I feel like I've been part of the club, sort of circling for a long time. And I sort of look forward, if elected, to kind of working hard towards the continuation of Autumn's mission, but also, updating it to reflect modern times, raising its reputation even higher. But more specifically, I do have a platform, and that platform is 2 objectives. 1, the elevation of software and digital innovations, bringing them to the table more than they've ever been. And 2, kind of increasing, or if not refinding, Autumn's international representation and exposure, which I feel has dwindled in some of the years that I've been active in the organization. The first part of my platform is simple. We all understand that we're a little bit of a crossroads, and with sort of the convergence of machine learning and data and all of these new sort of technical hurdles, it's really transforming a lot of the work that we do. It's transforming our agreements. It's transforming how we're perceived by people that kind of audit us. And I'm thinking of the federal government and all of the funding agencies, because they are very much interested in the outcome of how, e-health, digital health, and machine learning and AI are going to affect medicines and drugs and all the other things. And I really feel we need a voice on the board that is an expert that can kind of answer those questions, that can kind of go toe to toe with demands being imposed on us by organizations, regulations about open source, about open access, about open publishing, about open data. I've been essentially a leader in this space for a number of years, pretty much widely regarded as an expert in these matters. I've been the chair of the Autumn Software Committee for over a decade, and we've raised that organization into a well-oiled meeting that attracts people from all over the world that want to learn the best tactics, training, and tips for how to deal with digital innovations, how to deal with open source matters, how to deal with the onslaught of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So I'm running primarily to promote and have a voice at the table where I feel is going to be a very important and pivotal component of our business, not just for the next 3 years, maybe for the next 10, 15 years. The second point, again, I think that if we're going to be true to the concept of diversity and inclusion, that has to also include international aspects of it. And I've been in conversations working with lots of groups overseas that feel that Autumn, used to have a lot more opportunities for international representation and international inclusion in programming, as well as in other opportunities, other things it did. I would love to see that revisited. I was very much excited to see the recent trip by the board to Switzerland, to Geneva and WIPO. So there's obviously work being done there. It's not a desert. I just want to sort of increase the irrigation and make sure we grow even more trees in that space. So those are my two running platforms, if you will. The three things I think you should know about me or remember about me is, you know, I'm happiest when I'm being in service to others. I show up to work ready to roll up my sleeves and do the job smartly and competently. And I like to have fun. And I think you need all three of those things with your colleagues in order to not make life a chore. So.
Thank you, Danny. Anna.
Yes, I'm running for the board because I think the international flavour has, I've actually been a member of Autumn since 2004. There's a patch there that I wasn't, but I think the international flavour has lapsed, which needs to be reignited. I'm a member of other boards. I'm a trustee at large on the Licensing Executive Society here in Australia and New Zealand. And there's a lot, we've got like Knowledge Commercialisation Australia here, which is kind of like a child of Autumn, which is great. But too many times I get told, you know, that we need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, hang on, have you seen what Autumn's been doing? So I always remind everyone of Autumn and what you guys do and what we do, the networking, the policy side, and it can be international. So I really want to put that edge back on. I don't want us to reinvent the wheel if we don't need to, but then I also want us to be ambidextrous, that we actually innovate and we improve. So that's really why I want to run. And early morning, afternoons, whatever, it's my mantra of just get stuff done. So that's international hours is not a problem for me. Three things that I think you need to remember about me, and like nearly all of us, we are Swiss Army knives. We all have several qualities. I'm a material scientist. I've got then business law. I've lucky enough to be an alum of the Harvard Business School. I'm now learning behavioral economics on how to nudge for good, because that's kind of what we all do. But Swiss Army knife is definitely something I want you to take away. I want you to also take away that I'm passionate about turning ideas into reality, to find that how and why. And I want to do everything with a smile.
That's great. Thank you. And our last one, Gayatri.
So I have a hard stop at 1, and it's already, I'm 1 minute late for my other meeting, but I just wanted to say I applied for this position because I've always loved being a part of Autumn. I've been in the program committee with John Wilson and others, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And I feel like it's time for me to do other things within Autumn and see how I can learn and help. The top 3 things about me, as many of my colleagues in the titles can tell you, is I'm a collaborator. I am extremely approachable, and I'm extremely driven to get the job done. I'm all about research and getting research commercialized as appropriate. I'm an optimist, and so somebody said, never say no. So yes, I'm one of those who will always leave the door open, and I'm never afraid of working in a murky environment where things are not clear. With that, I have to jump off. I'm so sorry, but I hope to see you all soon. Bye.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for sticking
Laura,
with us. I know we're a couple minutes over.
Laura, we missed David, if we can.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
David. Sorry, David.
Oh, that's good. All right. I'm not offended. And I'll try to be concise, brief, and to the point. The term was a pivot point and convergence. Those two are very important, not just terms, but realities. What really motivated me to run for this position. I come from industry. I spent 15 years starting up, launching, operating and in 2 cases, selling companies that license IP from auto member universities. So I experienced the technology transfer process sort of from the outside in, and many variations of it, process-wise and quality-wise. I subsequently was brought into a major university for a 4-year term to precisely do that, to bring that outside commercialization experience and relevance into a university that had admittedly, by its own admission, badly underperformed in terms of successful conversion of valuable intellectual property into essentially products, and in one case, services that were beneficial to society. So I had just recently concluded a 4-year term in serving that role for the university. I learned a great deal more about the operational side of a TTU as a senior director of technology transfer at the university. But I think getting back into pivot point and that important concept, I'm seeing from the inside out currently as a consultant to my alma mater, the transferal of the traditional TTO model more into the venture center model. And that is where TTO traditionally is a very important aspect of it, but it integrates into it this external focus, this external relevance, and the ability to bring industry that is desirous of spending money on sponsored research and eventually on licensing intellectual property, startup opportunities and so forth. Largely, I see a need for both parties to better translate each other's needs, realities, language, and context effectively to make this all happen much better. And a second kind of converging factor for me is I read and digested the Heartland study. And it's remarkable to me how, I'm being general here, but the coastal universities and colleges have benefited much more, from the increase in university technology being commercialized. There's great swaths of the country and universities in the heartland that would very much like to have support in technology transfer, in commercialization and venturing, but don't necessarily know how to access it and do it. And so I see with as was mentioned earlier, CHIPS coming into effect and hopefully being funded next year, a tremendous opportunity for Autumn to provide services to members that help them better understand and become able to benefit from these opportunities that present themselves. And a lot of that has to do with their understanding also the true commercial context of technology transfer and how to bake the cake, as it were, successfully. So that's basically an overview of why I'm very excited about potentially the opportunity to contribute to Autumn, given these convergences. I think in terms of personal qualities, I did not have a technical educational background, but over the years in my roles, became quite comfortable and I think successful in having everyone from provosts and deans to lab folks feel comfortable with me as a partnering factor that helps to them to better understand and see how their innovation will translate into commercial outcomes. So that this, again, from a personal relationship standpoint, I think that's an aspect. And secondly, in all humility, through the 15 plus years in the entrepreneurial world, entrepreneurship based on university IP, I made so many mistakes that I truly learned about how not to do so many things. And I'm not too proud to admit to those and to bring them very much into play as an asset to the universities as they further move more and more into, I'm going to call it more active industry relationships. And so I guess the final inspirational point for me and why when the head of a university office suggested I go for this, opportunity, I recently finished Walter Isaacson's great book about how Jennifer Doudna and her colleagues adapted CRISPR to COVID technology detection, et cetera, and the tremendous benefits that society accrued. It rekindled my excitement about, wow, could I be helpful, be a part of things like this going forward? And it's just tremendously energizing to contemplate somehow being able to do that within the context of autumn. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to all
Laura,
of the
can I just
candidates for your participation.
Sure.
Yeah, Amy, we're running way over. Did
Yep.
you have something short to add?
You bet. Very short. One thing about autumn which we can do is transfer technologies, not just within the United States, but all over the world. There are technologies developed everywhere. And I think autumn can do a great job of those networks. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
That was
So-
quick, right?
Yeah, that was quick. Thank you to all the candidates. I know that this is tough, being put on the spot, so I really appreciate everybody's participation. Everyone was represented here with the exception of DJ Nog, who was not able to make this. He had some travel conflict. Want to remind everyone watching and everyone participating that voting opens November 1st. Autumn has a lot of important work to do for the future, and the board is an integral part in setting the strategy for that. And I did want to give Steve a chance to make any closing comments or closing advice on the elections process. Steve Susalka, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, what an embarrassment of riches that we have on the screen today. I am glad that I am not voting because there are excellent candidates on the screen. And as Laura rightly pointed out, DJ Nag wasn't able to join us, and I believe Michael Shoud as well are two additional candidates. So a tremendous crop of candidates, and really looking forward to the future board with 5 joining. Please make sure that you and the attendees that are listening, either live or recorded, do vote, because these are the leaders of our profession. And we need to hear your voice, and we want those candidates to be elected from our professionals to represent autumn in the future. So thank you each for raising your hand and for your dedication to autumn and the profession for years beforehand. And looking forward to a tremendous upcoming year. Looking forward to seeing you all in Austin. Back to you, Laura.
So long, everyone. It was a pleasure. I hope everybody listening had a chance to get to know the candidates at a little bit more personal level.